That's my wife. That's my wife. And I know her. She went to college, lady. You have an explanation for that?
That's
my wife.
English humor.
She went to college, Lady of Mercy.
That's English no humor. Okay, what else do you have to tell him?
Do I know any more ghost stories, man?
Tell us the one he told us before about the lady that went on the ice.
Oh,
She's
Ellen Dower.
Ellen
Yes.
The ghost of Ellen Dower. From the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. Conche, C-O-N-C-H-E, is the only Catholic settlement on the Great Northern Peninsula in Newfoundland.
Mm-hmm.
They're very, very religious. Years ago, when there was very little in the way of communication, people had to rely on their wits. They had to listen to how the cows and the cattle were lowing, for instance, to know there was certain rain coming up.
Yeah.
Now they don't have to do that because we got all kinds of communication. So the story I'm going to tell you is about the time when there was no communication. People had to rely on ESP. So anyway, her husband was a sealing captain, and he went to the ice. He lived in Conche, which was the only Catholic settlement up on the Great Northern Peninsula. It was, Mike, wasn't it? They were very religious, but it was the only one.
Yeah.
And he went to the ice after seals there in February when the ice floes came down, and he got stuck in the ice. And all of a sudden he saw his wife's ghost coming across the ice floes.
That was trouble right there.
Walking. And there was a glow about her, and he was terrorized. And he called everybody up out of bed. And they all knelt down and said the rosary. He said, I got to go home, she's dead. So he managed to get the boat out of the ice, and another boat that was there went into the ice floe. And that night, the ice crushed them, and they all went to the bottom. They died.
Didn't you say he saw her before?
She saved, by coming across the ice, she saved. It was her spirit. They thought it was her spirit because there was a glow about her. And that's why her husband thought she was dead. Now, back in Conche, Ellen Dower had died 2 days before.
Wow.
It's 2
That's
days.
factual.
Yes. This is gospel.
Documented
and documented very well by Earl Pilgrim, a wonderful Newfoundland storyteller. And he went to Conche to find out all the details. Back in Conche, there was no funeral parlor in those days. There was no embalming. There was no preparing of the body. They just kept the body in a cold place and buried it after 3 days. At that time, it was the winter. The ground was frozen solid. I think it was permafrost up there.
Permafrost? What is permafrost?
Permafrost is where the ground is so frozen with the cold, it stays up above. You can't put a basement down because of the permafrost. You can't get down. So with pickaxes and shovels, they had dug her a shallow grave.
Holy cow.
And as was the custom in those days, you never left the body. There was no funeral home, and the body was always accompanied by a human person until it was buried. And the they had an Irish wake in the kitchen. They were drinking and singing because, I mean, death was an ordinary phase of life. It was not anything to be scared of in that manner. It was accepted that you would die.
Do you happen to remember how it was that she died?
No, I don't remember how old Ellen Dower was. I don't think she was...
Why she died? Or just...
No, I don't remember. I think they thought it was a heart attack. There was nothing proven. There was no doctor there. There was no medical help there. And they were having a great time in the kitchen. And all of a sudden, the fellow who was with the body was put on the parlour table, the best room in the house. And was built by the men of the box, was built by the men of the settlement. And all of a sudden, this young fellow heard, coming from the casket, "Help me out, please." And when he looked...
You mean a voice from the casket?
Yes, Ellen Dower was trying to get out of the casket. He got terrorized. He ran in the kitchen. They all ran in and they saw her come in trying to get out of the box. And in terror, they ran from the house. And there was only one man had the nerve to go back. And she was up out of the box by then. The soles of her feet were torn. The tissue was torn off the soles of her feet. And there was big blisters on her feet where she had been walking over the ice. In truth, it was not her spirit that went across the ice. It was Ellen Dower herself, left and went to warn her husband. Now, I don't know what form was in the box at that time, but it's one of these mysteries. She was in the box, her physical remains, but obviously she had walked across the ice because of the condition of her feet. Her feet were terrible shape and frostbitten.
Wow.
But she saved her husband.